All right, welcome to the State and Local Sports Show brought to you by CalHighSports.com and The Record and StocktonPreps.com. I'm here with co-founder and editor of Cal High Sports, Mark Tennis. Mark, thanks for joining me. We're really excited to have you on board doing some work here. If you could just tell me a bit about yourself and the background of this website.
CalHighSports.com is exactly the same as Cal High Sports, which was a newsletter in 1979. It's been going on for 35 years. And it's all basically the same type of information: state rankings, state records, state stat leaders, all kinds of that statewide focus that we've been known for a long time. And now we have the bowl games, which we didn't have in 1979, but we have bowl games and football, basketball. The five main sports we cover are football, boys basketball, girls basketball, softball, and baseball. We used to cover a lot more, but the way the internet has gone, where different sports get verticalized, track and field is now covered by Prep Track Cal and other great sites, so we can't really do that anymore. But the website is still a lot of fun, and it's still interesting to see these kids as you watch them grow up. You see someone who's 14, 15, watch them through high school, watch them in college, and now, of course, we're seeing people retiring and have been long time retired since we started covering them. So that history is hard for anybody else to really match what we do at Cal High Sports, and we try to make that a key part of the website.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. You've done the historical football pieces on St. Mary's and Escalon, a couple teams from around here. I know people have enjoyed that. Looking locally, you cover the state with the biggest population in this country, from Wairika in the north down to San Diego in the south. But you are located here in Stockton, and perhaps one of the best wide receivers in the section is Darian Grimm from McNair. He's a senior. His dad, Lateef Grimm, was a standout at the University of Pittsburgh. And just this weekend, he took a trip to Nebraska, loved it, verbally committed there. What does he do just for Stockton in general, knowing that there used to be more guys, pro-caliber guys would come from here, from Edison, from Franklin, and it's thinned out a little bit. To have someone with this potential, with your background, what do you think this does for the area?
I think this area has always been really good for wide receivers. You go back to the Webster Slaughter type players, J.D. Hill at Edison. I can think of Wendell Hayes at St. Mary's. The list goes on and on. Lavelle Hawkins. Every year, Lonzel Hill. Every year, there's a number of good receiver type prospects in the Stockton area, and Grimm is right up there with some of the best we've seen in the most recent years. And we ranked him as the top receiver in the section this year, and that doesn't have anything to do with his statistics. It's just he's really a good player. And the receiver at Del Oro is also very good. Trey Udofia is going to Colorado. He's very good. Those two are probably the two best. But it's just, you're right. It does put the city and the area on the map, but it's always been very good for receivers.
When I look at him and I look at the area, there are a lot of guys who are prolific high school players, but and it's not their fault, they just don't have the body to go to the pros. When I look at him, I see him and Popo Amave, the junior lineman at St. Mary's, a couple of guys that maybe from Sac-Joaquin County you could see playing on Sundays someday. Grimm brings up another interesting point, though, and I know one that we've both seen a lot of lately. It's the issue of verbal commitments, and especially in college football, even more so than basketball, can just fluctuate. Now, it doesn't necessarily come from a bad place. I can't imagine being a senior recruit and going to Nebraska on a game day Saturday and them throwing everything at you and saying, no, it's got to be difficult. What are your thoughts on verbal commitments, the recruiting process, and how it's changed over the years, especially with the influence of social media and so much more different kinds of pressure now?
It's changed quite a bit, as you've hinted that. I think verbal commitments are overhyped when they happen, especially early on in the process, like when a kid hasn't even maybe been fully recruited yet. When someone commits to a Boise State or a San Jose State or let's face it, a mid-level sort of Division I program, and then one of the big boys with all the bells and whistles from the Pac-12 or an Oklahoma or a Nebraska comes calling, you go to a game there, it just changes everything, and the verbal commitments change a lot. So I think when a kid commits to a UCLA or USC when they were a junior in high school, they don't change too often, or a Stanford, or a place like that. But when they commit to a Boise State or a Nevada, you know it's a legitimate commitment, and you kind of hope the kid goes there. But it changes. Then coaching changes have a huge impact on where these kids go. We can remember Shaq Thompson from Grant committing to Cal, famously on TV, national TV, with the hat and everything during the All-Star game, and he changed his mind when the coaches left. The coaches weren't, moved up to Washington, so he went to Washington too. So the coaching situation at the end of the season really can change a verbal commitment quite a bit, and I do think they are overhyped, verbal commitments. What you have to look for with these kids is who's offering them, where the offers are. If they're major Division I schools or they're more mid-level Division I schools, that's what you're looking for, where the offers are coming from, not so much where they committed to.
And it's difficult because you want to teach kids that your word is your bond, that kind of thing. But I can imagine, especially not wanting to be injured during your senior year, making that verbal commitment. It gives you, I'm sure, some sort of peace of mind. And I don't want to say a backup plan, but it seems to be kind of common knowledge now. I expected some backlash maybe from Boise State, but all I saw on Twitter and social media was wishing him well, which is kind of refreshing to see because for sports it can be such a vicious kind of place.
Yes, yes, it can be.
And for you guys, one of the things you do is keeping track of coaching records. And Central Catholic's Roger Canepa joined a club a couple weeks ago, and he's from the Motherlode area, originally from Sonora and Calaveras, before he came down to Central Catholic.
Yeah, no, he's been a great coach in this area, and meaning the Calaveras, and also before that at Sonora, and the 200 win club. We've actually had 3 already this year in the state. We'll probably have another couple of them too, and but it's still as you said, it's a big state. We have 1,200 schools in California, and when you hit 200 wins, you've been a coach who's been at it usually for 20, 30, 20, 35, 20 years usually, sometimes 25, and it's a nice number. And it's funny because the coaches themselves don't care, or at least they say they don't care. They say, "Oh, I don't care. That's working hard, great thing." But the people who care is their school communities. School care, the parents care, the principal cares, the people in their community care, because it gives them a chance to recognize the coach for what he's done and meant to their various school communities, and that's what's best about it. And later on, the coaches will care about it a little more when they're done competing. Then they'll look back and think, that was really cool that I got that number. That was really cool.
In one case last year, Escalon's Mark Lorero became the winningest coach in section history. But his dad, the former Escalon coach Bob Lorero, probably cared too.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take a while for his son for it to come into perspective. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this first show at CalHighSports.com. An amazing deal. Their gold membership gets you their rankings, their record book, all of the content. That's less than $2 a month. It's less than $20 a year, so that's a great deal. And Mark, thanks for coming. I'm excited to have this partnership here now.
Thanks, Thomas. I think it'll be great.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.